Good afternoon and welcome to the first week of September. Hope everybody had a great weekend with that holiday and kicked back and enjoyed things. We're going to talk a little bit about layers. We're also going to, it's going to kind of be a mishmash of a bunch of different things, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a composite from zero again. We did that a couple years ago. And then talk about how layers interact with each other and things like that. So here we go. If everything works, I have a grid showing up right now. And I'm going to go back over to Photoshop. And can everybody see my Photoshop?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. That's the important thing. Let's go ahead and start a new project. So I'm going to hit Command or Control N, which gives me the new document. I'm going to do 10 by 8, which is probably too big, but I don't care. Bless you. And here we go. First thing I'm going to do is add a new layer. So I click on the plus button down next to the trash can on the layers panel. And now I have two layers. One that's just checkerboard, and the other one's the white layer that I had from before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint some grass on the bottom of this. So let's make it a little bit smaller. Go to my brush tool, and I don't have it in my favorites, so I have to go up here. And the easiest way to find a grass brush is search brushes, grass, with 2 S's, not 3. And I like number 134, which is really cool. And the color, I'm going to do dark because my plan is to make a dark image. So we'll do black on 1. And then the background color, we're going to add a little bit of green in, but we're going to make it a really dark green. And make my brush just a little bit bigger. It's just got a hint of green in there. Make a little bit smaller just to add some small stuff in there. Just so it's very random, and like it's probably too tall, but that's okay. We can move it if we want to. Next thing I'm gonna do is add a new layer, but first type in grass. If you're smart, you'll be happy to put your labels on there so you know where you're going later on when you get a whole bunch of layers in there. We're going to go to Filter, Render Tree, and I'm going to do an elm tree. And it brings up the last one that I did, so I was playing around earlier doing this. I'll just click OK. And you can see that the tree is in front of the grass, which I don't want. So I will drag the tree up and above. What the heck? Oh, I did it on the, never mind. Let's undo the tree. Get rid of that. Go back to my layers and make sure I'm on the right layer. I want to be on the layer 2, so we'll name that one tree. 3 or 4, whatever it takes. And go to Filter, and I'll just redo the filter. And then I'll drag the grass up above it so that the tree is behind the grass. And I'm going to move the tree over to the right a little bit. Just cause. In fact, let's make the tree a little bit taller. So I'm going to hide the grass for a minute. Make the tree a little smaller to start with. Size it up a little. Okay. Take my marquee tool. Select that portion of the trunk. In fact, let's do most of the trunk. Command T for transform, or Control T. I'm going to hold the Shift key down, which basically stretches this puppy out. So now we got a taller tree. Hit OK, deselect, Put the grass back in. Now we'll lower the tree back where it belongs. And I have a tree, I have grass. Well, this is going to be a dark shot, so it's like a nighttime shot. What I will do is take the tree and make it dark. So give me, excuse me. Sorry about that. Hope I didn't blow your eardrums out.
For sure.
Thank you. Need all the blessings I can get.
Mhm.
I'm going to hit Command or Control and click on the tree icon on the layers, and it selects the tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the tree with black. So D for default. And then I'm going to Option or Alt click and also delete, which causes my tree to go black. Command D to deselect. And I'm going to do something a little different this time. I'm going to right click on there and convert this to a smart object. You can see that it says smart object in there. What that does is anytime I make a change to it, such as filters and things like that, I can readjust them later on. So I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and I'm going to add about a 1 point blur, a 1 pixel blur, just so it's not standing out super crisp and sharp. You can't really tell, but it's just ever so slightly. You got a little bit of a blur along the edge there. So if I turn the blur on and off, sharp, not sharp. And I don't know if that shows up on Zoom or not, but we'll find out. Now I want to make this into a nighttime shot. So probably the best thing to do is go to my background layer and add a new layer again. And we're going to call this night sky. And I'm going to take the gradient tool. So G for gradient. All these shortcuts are so much helpful, so I don't have to go find the gradient tool on the toolbar down there. And this is the colors that I used before, which I don't know that I'm going to keep, but I'll put it in there anyway just for fun. And we'll show you how to change the colors in a second. So I'll click OK. I'm going to drag upwards, and it creates a nighttime shot. Not sure I like the colors that I'm using, so what I'll do is I'll take this color on the left, so double click on the little point right there, just click on the point right there, bring up color, and I'm going to take that color, copy, so Command C to copy, hit cancel. I'm going to put it on this side over here. So I've just changed so it's straight across all that same color. Then I'll go back to the other side again, click, double click on the color stop, and I'm going to bring in probably want more orange in that, or red. I'm not sure what I want yet. Go backwards. And what you can do with your gradient, like what I is, you can start from the bottom, work a little bit up. You can work from the bottom and go way up. And you can see you get a little bit softer gradient there when you do that. And that's probably not the gradient that I want because it's too much at the bottom. So we'll raise it up. There we go. So it looks similar to a sunset. You can also add a gradient adjustment layer. So let's turn that off, click on there, do a gradient adjustment layer. And do the same thing we did. Put that color over here. Paste again. And then over here, we'll find that orangish color. That's because it goes to, you'll see that what it's doing right now is going to the clear from the gold, and I need to change that. So opacity, there we go. So at the stops, you can change the opacity. So if you only want a little bit, you can drag it over, or you can give it full opacity. I wanted full opacity, and we're doing that. So we'll click OK. You can change the angle if you want. Obviously, we don't want to change the angle for what we're doing. We'll set it to 90, so it's straight up and down. And if you have a problem with your gradient getting the lines running through it, click on dither. And what that will do is keep you from getting the banding going on. And then you can double click here if you want. Use your move tool to move it up and down, which with the old way of doing it, with this way, you can't really move. V for move, come on. You can't really move it because it will do that to you. So I'll turn that one off, turn that one on. In fact, let's get rid of this and change the name from gradient to sky gradient, so we know what it is. And if we want to go back later on and change it again, we just double click on there on the little icon and it brings it up. And we just move it down a little bit. The grass, let's make the grass black too. So we'll Command or Control click on the thumbnail and we just go fill it with black. Deselect, and now you got the black. So we're getting there slowly but surely. And you notice that I am listing the names in there because it's almost a smart thing to do. I'm going to add a new layer and I'm going to add a moon in there. So I'm going to go back to bridge and I have a moon. I want to place it in Photoshop. So you go down to place in Photoshop. If you are having trouble doing this and your Photoshop is not showing up at the bottom, you can see I've got all these other programs in there, place in Adobe 3D Sampler, Illustrator, et cetera, et cetera. This morning it wouldn't place in Photoshop. Photoshop wasn't there. I had to uninstall and reinstall Photoshop. So let's do that, add it in, and I'm going to leave it this color, click OK. And you can see it's kind of sort of almost perfect, but it's above everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it down below the tree. Command T, and I want to make it a whole lot bigger so it's realistic, because you don't have small moons where we're doing this image at. So there we go. It's bigger. And then I'm going to take this from normal to either screen or lighten. And I think I'm going to go with lighten. Let me see what happens if I do a double copy. Nothing. Okay. One of the things I found when I was doing the install, let me find this desktop screenshot. Is this the one? I should be more organized. When you update Photoshop or reinstall Photoshop, it will ask you, do you want to remove old versions? And I leave one version backup on there just in case, and import previous settings and preferences. Definitely click import previous settings and preferences. That way all your brushes show up, all your actions show up, everything that you've done in the past will show up, and then you click on continue and everybody's happy. So when you update Photoshop, make sure you look for that window to show up and import your previous settings. Any questions on that one? That's kind of sort of important. Okay, then moving right along. Next thing I want to do is change the name to Moon. So I know where the moon is, as if I couldn't tell by my picture there. And then I'm going to go to a bird, and we're going to open him up separately. And I want to select just the bird. If I do a select subject, so let's go to W, select subject. If you zoom in, you can see in the tips of the wings, you don't get the full selection. So what I'm going to do is, instead of using the select subject version, deselect, I'm going to go to the magic wand tool, which nobody likes. It's the tragic wand. I'm going to click on the blue outside the bird, and you can see that I got a much better selection. It also selected sky down here as well, which I'm not worried about. So I'm just going to make a copy of this layer, but I need to invert my selection. So Command Shift I to invert selection, or go to select to inverse. Now the bird is selected along with a whole bunch of sky. That's okay. We'll fix that. Command J or Control J. Let's mask it. We'll get a black brush, not a grass brush, a soft round brush in black. Hit X to get it. And we'll just paint out what we don't want, which is everything but the bird. Paint out that, everything's gone. I'm going to right click on the mask and say, apply layer mask. Boom. Now I have the bird all by himself up there. So I'll take my move tool, V for move, drag him up, change my mind. Cancel that. He's staying in the old one. I want to fill the bird with black. So we'll do a control or command click on the thumbnail, and I'm going to fill with black. So Option backspace or Alt backspace. Fill it with black, deselect it, and just drag him up. And let's make him a little bit smaller so he's not a huge bird flying over the moon. And we'll tilt him just a little smaller. There we go. So now we've got a bird in front of the moon. You got the tree. And looks like we need another animal in there, except I didn't layer that label that layer, bird. B1RD, bird. And I can close out the previous one, don't save. Let's go back to bridge, and we have a giraffe or we have a cheetah. Which one do you want to put in? Okay, giraffe it is.
Cheetah.
Too late. We're too slow. But thanks, John. It's good to know at least somebody is watching. In this particular case, I am going to go to Object Selection Tool. I have my mode up at the top set to lasso. I could wait for the tool to do the selection, but I'm too fast. We'll look to see what it did. And it did okay. It could use a little bit more selection there. So what I'll do is go to Select and Mask. And we're going to make sure that the leg is masked out a little bit better. So we'll just add a little bit more. And then the tail needs a little bit of work as well because it's missing a little bit there. So I'm going to hit the brush and right above where it's blank, go to where it's below the blank, hold the shift key, and it draws a straight line for me. And it looks like we've got just about everything there. Except I want to get rid of this branch here, which it decided to keep. So I'm going to click on, I can either hold the Option or Alt key to go negative, or click on the subtract from selection, a little bit bigger brush, and just get rid of it. So everything I do right now, it's getting rid of. Make sure that you output to new layer with layer mask. Click OK. And now it's on its own layer all by itself. And I'm not worried about the legs being cut off because I'm going to be putting it in the grass once we get it onto the other image. And again, right click, apply layer mask, or what you can do is drag the layer mask to the trash and it'll say, do you want to apply, delete, or cancel? Well, I wish to apply. So now I have just the giraffe all by himself or herself, I'm not sure which. Hit V for the move tool. After I screw up again, I'm going to command click on the layer thumbnail. So I make a selection, or I can go in and make another selection again. I don't want to. Fill with black. Deselect, command D, drag him or her up and onto the image. And it doesn't look like it's quite the right size. Command T to free transform. And I need to flip the giraffe around so it looks like it's eating out of the tree. So I can finish the transformation and do another thing, or right click and flip horizontal. And now it's in the right direction. And then hit enter. But the giraffe is not looking up like he's eating. So we go into edit, puppet warp, and I'm going to place some dots on here. So just click in areas so that it will not move around when I'm doing the warping, and take the head and drag it up a little bit. Click OK. And then we'll drag him back just a little bit. So V for move tool. And I need to add some more grass above him. So we will go back to the, whoops, gotta rename that. So that's giraffe.
Is that tool called Pinocchio, or would you call that tool again?
The puppet warp. So it's
Puppet.
edit to puppet warp. And you can see that it sets up a whole bunch of dots on there. So I can click on his nose, click on his neck. And then
I like Pinocchio.
this, oh, we can spin him around like Pinocchio. There we go. That's
There you
perfect.
go.
And we'll undo. So we got giraffe. I need some grass underneath them to fill in. So B for brush. I said B for brush. Thank you. And my last few brushes are listed up here. So let's go to the grass brush. And you can see it's adding white in there. I don't want white. I want the green. Very dark green and black.
Those look like they got a different green color than the previous ones.
It does.
Could you just do your eye picker and grab the color that's already in the bushes down there and then go from there?
I probably could, but I'd have to find the green that's in there. So
Well, enough use your eye picker, just grab that color and then use that as your dropper. I'm just saying, I mean, sure, show
Yeah,
about
no,
just
you're right.
Just trying to pick up the, you had different colors of green that was
You are 100%
coming up in there.
Yeah, you're right. Let's go a little darker. Just drag it down a little bit. And the bottom should be very dark because obviously there's no spacing in the grass down at the very bottom. And the cool thing is with this brush, you can change the spacing. You can do all kinds of cool stuff. Color dynamics, we can drop it down, hue jitter down to like 12%. So it's just doing a whole bunch of black. Now we've got a giraffe in the picture. And John, you wanted a cheetah, right? So let's close the giraffe here. We're not going to save him. Don't save. Go to bridge, go to cheetah. This one, we're going to test the selection on it. So we'll hit the lasso tool on my quick object selection tool. And you can see it's struggling between the grass and the cheetah because they're really close in color. So we'll go to select and mask. And then we'll zoom in a little bit so we can see what we're doing. And I'm going to try refine hair and just drag it across here, see what it does. And took a lot off, but not perfect. So what I'll have to do is go back in with the brush tool here. Just hit B for brush or click on the third one down with your brush tool. And then you paint in what you want to keep. And that's not what I want. So let's go ahead and hold the option. First I'll do Command Z, get rid of that. Then I'll hold the option. I just click this guy here. And I'm painting with a hard edge brush right now so I can keep my lines semi-good. Although it doesn't really matter that much because it's just going to be the black image when we get done with it. So let's paint in the tail. Get rid of that little edge right there. Get rid of this area right here. And I overdid it, so we'll, and then where his tail was before, we'll kind of go in and fix it. And you can change the view on here. So if we go to black, you can see what we're getting there. So we need a little bit more there. and take off a little bit here. And I'm taking out some of the grass areas that still stayed with. I'm not worried about the grass on the body or the grass on the legs. I think he'd like to have a second ear. What do you think? He's already there. Okay. And I think that's close enough. So we'll go to new layer with layer mask. It used to have where you could tell it to remember your last settings, but it's not in there. And is it perfect? Not even close. So B for brush. Make sure we're on our layer mask. Change from grass to soft round. Not quite that big. We got to make sure she looks good. Has a good figure. Those mamas are really mean if you don't give them a good figure. And when I do new layer with layer mask out of selected mask, it allows me to go in and change up where I'm going with this. I don't have to go back into select and mask again. I can just go ahead and paint out what I don't want. Yeah, I know that's part of the tail, but I don't care. Let me take it out. And again, we're going to apply layer mask. So all you have is just the cat. And Command and Control click on the thumbnail, select the cat, fill with black, hit D for black, so I get perfectly black. Option or Alt click on and delete at the same time. And then deselect, V for move, drag him into the picture. And I'm going to hit Command and Control T to transform, right click, flip horizontal. And I'm going to try something just for fun. I'm going to squish him down a little bit like he's stalking. So being that we're talking about layers, let's go ahead and add some text layers in there too after I rename this cheetah. Is it one E or two? Two, right? Oh, it is now.
Yes.
Thank you, Mel. I'm going to go to my text tool or my type tool. I'm going to type in cat and hit OK. That might be a little bit big, so we'll make it smaller. Over here, we're going to make giraffe. And that one will make a little bit smaller, Command T, or I could just go in. If I want to make it smaller from 19 points up at the top, I'll change it to 14. Nope, that's too, this could only did 4. I want 14. 1, 4, thank you. Use my move tool, there we go. And then we'll do a tree. And the cool thing about using the text tool or the type tool is I want to change the color of my tree word. So I'll go up here. I have my type tool selected. I have the tree layer selected. go up there, sample the moon color, and make it that color. If I'm on a different layer and I try to do that, it's going to do absolutely nothing. So let's go to purple, and it did nothing. Then you would have to select that text and have it done. And we'll move these around a little bit just so they're all over the place. The reason I did the texting I wouldn't normally do when I'm making a piece like that, what I want to show is you click on the top of the layer panel, you have your adjustment layers. I have no adjustment layers. Although I have the gradient layer, it should show up with adjustments. I have the text layers. So I hit the T up there, that'll bring up your text layers. If I have pixel layers, those are my pixel layers that I have. And you can find, when you have a Sharon Shepherd image of 180 layers and you want to find a certain layer, you go up here and you start looking. What am I looking for? Okay, I'm looking for a picture layer. And then I can move the grass. Escape. B for move. Thank you. And I can move the grass around. The adjustment layer should show up, but it's not showing up, which is our gradient right here. And I don't know why it's not showing. You have shape layers, you have smart art objects. So my smart filters and my smart layers are showing up here. And you can go by kind. So if you want to find grass, Grass, it shows you the grass layer. So you search by name. You can search by color. If you color code them, you can search smart objects. So turn that on and off on the right there. Let's go ahead and go kind with everything. And see if we can do just smart objects. And it's not doing just smart objects. So I don't know why. So that was the whole reason of showing text in there, so you could search by text layers or whatever layer you want to do. And it helps you a whole lot when you have a large image that you're working with. So do we have any questions? Now would be a good time to ask. Going once. Going twice.
Sold.
Michael, I'm still seeing some lines of the banding you talked about in there. Is there anything we can do to alleviate that? Because I'm still seeing on my monitor, I'm still seeing some lines and banding.
I see him as well, Dennis.
And so, I mean, you talked about, you did some things earlier that you, on the gradient fill and on the dither, I see that, but I thought we could raise the dither on that.
Well, the dither was,
You're at
just
100. Okay.
you have on and off, and that's it. So you are seeing band. I'm not seeing banding on mine.
Yeah, I see it too.
It might be because of Zoom, but I'm not seeing it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's okay right there. See, there's a challenge. Like when we're judging, Michael doesn't see banding. Michael and Mel and I see banding. So, it's like someone goes, well, I see it. Well, I do. So you have to say, okay, is it really there or isn't there? Is it you monitor the resolution? So you understand a challenge we have.
Oh, big time. And so whoever's projecting for you guys would have to look at it and say there is no banding.
But,
if they're allowed to do that. So
they are not. We have to go by what's on the monitor.
Yeah.
But you can understand how that kind of thing, okay, then you created something here from, half a dozen objects here. And, this could be another whole program that we could chat about this, about the objectivity and the creativity of using external sources to create an image.
You know, one of the things we do need to talk about down the road is we need to talk about preparing for print comp and some of the print comp issues. And I think you and Dennis could probably do a program for us to talk about that if you would like to.
Well, I'd be happy to. I just know there's some things changing and some rules change. I mean, that kind of stuff isn't going to change. I mean, the rules are changing, fixed, and we're all going to be the same. But, you know, Dwight and I could help out and put something together, be able to share with that going on. But, you know, we all got to just get through the next week and a half, and then we'll have a lot of questions we can address.
In
Exactly.
October will be lots of announcements.
You know, another thing that would be helpful, Dennis, is about how to download your image to print comp the proper way so you have the right resolution going down. You know,
Oh my goodness, I had so many phone calls this last couple of weeks.
because there, you know, it's everybody has, you know, anyway, you know what I'm trying to say.
I do, and believe me, I had numerous calls and messages and please help. And you know, it's just read the rules, but I think a lot of people just don't understand the whole thing. And so, you know, just message some challenges to Michael, and then we can put all those and collaborate all them into a program. How's that, Michael?
That works for me.
So if you got challenges or problems, and I got a few of my own, and then we could put them together, and then Dwight and I can maybe team up and help you guys out. If Dwight's not around, I'd be happy to help out with that.
That'd be great because, you know, everybody has their own interpretation about the rules, the way they read.
No,
You read them for
Really?
what they say.
shocking.
Hey,
Okay.
do I get a merit for that or what?
Okay, I'm going to hit the stop recording button real quick, and then we can scream and yell and do things off camera. So thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.